Okay, so here's something I didn't expect I'd have to do. But as I said, I'm a teacher, and Rebeccah has actually shown herself to want people to tell her if she's still making a mistake. Actually, she said, if I forgot something. That's not quite the same, but again, let's go with the spirit of it, that she is trying to improve herself. After all, the name of that video is Be Better Today Than Yesterday. And the name of this video is Yesterday's Tomorrow because, yeah, you probably should have learned this already if you're 26. Now, mind you, I am very much of the opinion that people do not magically get things. There are still some educators that say that when you get to a certain age, you just learn. I don't believe that. I have seen people who are my seniors and who still don't understand what being a student is, and I have seen people who are younger than me, much younger than me, and they are better students than I've ever been. But to put it simply, I am going to go over quickly a few issues that I saw on that video, and then I'm going to go over some things that are actually positive about that video. The intention seems to be positive, don't get me wrong, but she actually shows that she doesn't really get what she did wrong in quite a few topics. So first of all, she is still egocentric. Now, again, I don't think that she understands what it is, but I do think she has an inkling that egocentric is an actual critique, and narcissist is not just a critique, it is also a negative word. So she addresses people saying that she's a narcissist and says, I don't know why they waste their time, but she never really answered to the chart of being egocentric, and that's kind of the main issue here. The only reason why you did all that, Rebeccah, the only reason why you did this second video, the only reason why you made all of those mistakes is because you justified them for yourself. In your head, in your position, you thought it was good enough of a thing to do, or justifiable enough of a thing to do. And yes, you can put yourself in other people's positions and understand that actually without much effort. It's pretty easy to do. People do it every day. So she will in this video at times still try to show her position as a proof of why what she did is understandable, and it really isn't. Mind you, she does not address, for instance, that in her original video about Mr. Enter, the Reanimation 9, someone who talks for her says that it was 3 days later when she actually confronted Hope crying and having a meltdown about what she requested. That's one of the other issues. What she seems to be operating on is the notion that something is good if everybody likes it, or something is bad if nobody likes it. This is absolutely wrong. There are things, even if sometimes difficult to see, that are just good or bad, at least in a certain situation, no matter how people feel about it. And that's the thing. If she comes here and she says, yes, I'm so sorry, I couldn't stop it from happening, and I'm so sorry that it happened, that this person had a meltdown because of my stupid request, it still doesn't explain why did it take you 3 days. Now, mind you, the one thing that you should do in such a situation is admit all the facts. And of course, if you did not take them into consideration, admit that you didn't. The other thing, again, very broad, I'm doing this very quickly, no script, she still gives excuses. In other words, when she says something like, I thought my editing was good because people told me they liked it, she is pretending that's enough. It really isn't. To put it more specifically, she does not understand that when her client asks her to do a thing and she doesn't, she is being a bad editor. It doesn't matter that people still like the product. In fact, you could say that people liking the product means it was a lesser problem, but not a lesser offense. She brings up blurs. She talks about John not doing something if he was worried about seizures. Those are all besides the point. The point is, somebody told you, edit this. They didn't tell you, put a meme there, there, and you did. Even if people really liked it. I myself, I remember when I saw this video for the first time, it was a long time ago, but I still remember, I was a little iffy on it, but I just figured that's an intentional joke to try to lessen the problem itself, make it a little more easy to handle. And I don't particularly agree with that kind of usage, but I get it. That's the thing. What actually happened, according to yourself, is that you inserted a meme without anybody asking, and you still don't understand that choice is bad. I mean, Rebeccah, if tomorrow you ask somebody to edit for you, and you ask them to edit Dogmons, I don't know, and in the middle of it, you ask, put this part of the episode, and the editor decides to put that part of the episode, but also a meme, you have every right to be angry at them, and you have every right to say it is the wrong thing to do. It doesn't matter if people liked it or not. You have to get over this. It is not about how you feel, and it's not about how the audience feels. It is about what you are allowed to do in that position or not. The other thing I really think it's a little wrong to do here, inappropriate, I mean. I don't want to sound like I'm Rebeccah. Oh, there is a right thing and there's a wrong thing. That's another story too. She got a sketch from that 3-hour video, which is her fixing Mr. Enter climbing the mountain, and she put it, I wanna say the same way, maybe with a little editing. She put it in this video to say, oh, let me fix that. So I think she liked this new version of it, and she still wanted to show to everybody, which is okay. But again, the problem there is that it was not requested. The bad version that you put in the original video, it was only there because you decided to put it. You decided to change the ideas. You decided to do it, and you did not ask permission, as far as I understand. Again, that's not an editor's job. Now, of course, you could have done this, maybe very quickly. Oh, hey, for this part, I have a really good idea. I'm going to quickly edit it together, and I'm going to send it to Mr. Enter and say, hey, do you think this works for that part of the video? And maybe while you're doing the rest, he can give you an answer like, look, it really doesn't work because it's slow or something like that. And you could have had a chance to make a better version. But you didn't do that, did you? You didn't think that the person who is paying you to edit should have final say in changing the script. That was the point. That's the thing you're still ignoring. And I have to say, the background music is still a little loud in the end, when they're in the cave.
Please tell me, how does a cartoon episode with no animation have an animation error?
I must meditate on this. Give me a moment.
6.5 hours later.
I've got it! Everyone involved had absolutely no clue what they were doing.
I kinda sympathize with Rebeccah here a little. I have this issue. I always prefer to make things very audible. I really try to put some music in the background so it's not just empty, but also I stress over if it should be louder or not. And I review my work quite a bit because I'm not sure. But that's the thing. One of the main things is that she says, no, I don't do those things. And here it is. She just did it. Maybe, just maybe, you might make those mistakes once in a while and not notice. That's another big one that she needs to get as well. She said in this video that she was not told she was fired and that she wanted to be told. Now, again, maybe, just maybe, the reason why you need for things to be very well explained and the reason why you didn't get that you were not going to edit anymore is because you don't get social cues? I get that if people have a certain difficulty, being a disability or a particular issue like this, it is difficult sometimes to get a grasp on, especially if it's something like this that people really don't talk about very often. I don't hear a lot of people saying how the internet can be confusing because the social cues are different or they are less explicit. But you are leaving the responsibility for everybody else. That is what you're doing. You cannot pretend that you are owning up to everything and then say, oh, but you could have told me. No. If you want to own up, own up. Just say that you are the one responsible. And one thing that I should point out, in her editing of this video, Rebeccah leaves herself talking to the camera and saying her editing got better, but then she writes, no, my editing sucks. That's kind of a main issue that points at her not being a good editor. Why would you leave two things that contradict each other? Oh, but I said this, it has to be on the video. No, it really doesn't. You as an editor taking it out means that you as a person does not want that out. That's not a bad thing to do. So either you really think that you need to do these things, which you don't, or you really don't understand your job. See, also, just because this is a good example, if I had to put everything in, you would hear me burp right here because I just did. I just don't feel it's what should be here, so I edit. And a couple of other things that I should point out are a little abstract, but they kinda get hinted at here. Rebeccah still seems to not understand that this notion of hers of, this is the right answer. What is the right answer here? Yeah, those things don't actually exist. There are situations where there is a right answer. There are situations that you can see all the information and calculate what should be done, and you have to do that. However, in the vast majority of them, especially with this stuff, the drama, you do need to keep in mind there are no right answers, there are right ways of doing things. If your 3-hour video were you saying, I'm frustrated about this, I'm frustrated about that, and not accusing other people, not pretending you are better than them, it wouldn't really be a problem, and I'm pretty sure nobody would talk about it. Because everybody gets frustrated, even if they are not in the right. That's a human feeling. That's perfectly okay to have. The problem is you equate you being frustrated to somebody wronging you, and that is not what happened. Now, of course, to get an example here, there's very few examples here, I'm afraid, because I'm doing this very quickly. Rebeccah puts again in this video that she is a better editor and she does things better because somebody used the wrong clips in a video for Mr. Enter. I believe it is the 10 worst cartoons of the 2010s, because the clips that were put in are of the same show, but they are not of the thing being described by Mr. Enter. And I agree with her, those choices might have been better, but it is also very understandable that that is an entry in a top 10 list. We are using clips to have a general discussion about it. You don't actually have to match everything up. Depending on how much time you have to do those things, that is more or less understandable and acceptable, and I would very much say, yes, if you have the time, it is better to match things. But mind you, Rebeccah, you didn't match the chalk zone part. The chalk zone, only bad ideas get erased thing, as far as I can recall, it is definitely not in the very last part of the opening when the title is put. But you use that part because, you see, I get what you're doing. You are trying to say there are better choices, but you're classifying them as right. They are better, but they are not right. They are just better. It is entirely possible for people to choose clips from the episodes that suggest something like what is being described, and it is not what is being described. In other words, to give a visual example other than the one being described, so the person watching has 2 examples instead of 1, for instance. It's just one of the possibilities. Again, I'm all there. You are correct to say that it could have been a better choice, but it is wrong to say there is only one right choice. That is wrong to say when you're talking about art. You cannot do this. Now, of course, to say something as clearly and stating you cannot do this, I must be doing the same as Rebeccah. No, I'm just being hyperbolic. Of course, there are uses of art that should not be replicated and that are not correct to do. When I was studying art, it was my first college, I didn't actually finish, yeah, I heard of plenty of examples that I would not recommend people replicating. And the second one, and I think it's very important for me to say that, she still applies the idea that if she shows that she is better than so-and-so, that means she might be correct. No, there's no such thing. That's one of the things that is so very frustrating in the last couple of decades. We went through this. We saw that there is no right answer, that you are not better than so-and-so. Again, just to take an example that happens to affect me, I'm overweight. When the idea of body positivity came to be, everybody seemed to get for a little bit of time that criticizing someone's body does not help the development of that body. And that is true, and that is still a great concept. We should be applying it. But then it became, I'm overweight, but that happens normally, so I'm better than the people who exercise. No, let whoever it is do whatever they want with their bodies. That's the point. Do not distort the concept so you feel better. And that's something that I have to say to Rebeccah as well. Stop distorting concepts. Stop trying to feel better. Sometimes you have to feel bad. It is normal. It's part of life. What you do is accept your mistakes, accept that you did something wrong, and try to be better. That's why her video's title doesn't really strike me as sincere, because I don't think she knows what she means. If she did, when she did her second video, the one where she apologized, she was giving herself excuses already, and she is in this video as well, she wouldn't have done the 3-hour rant. Oh, this is a minor point, but just because it's another evidence of her having the right answer or not, she gives an excuse of why a sketch is okay to do because it wasn't a copy of Mr. Enters, it is a parody of Azumanga Daioh. But that's not the issue. The issue is having things that are somewhat similar is not a problem. Art does that. It is okay to have something that has some similarities to something else. That's how parody works, so it's not a problem. And if I were to give an example, a reviewer I really like, Tony Goldmark, made a video discussing the Pirates of the Caribbean controversy where he, by his own admission, was ripping off counterpoints. Mind you, I don't think that would count as a ripoff. I don't think he is being literal when he says that, but he is putting up characters to discuss the points. And that's perfectly okay. He did the work. He didn't get somebody's image and used it. He didn't just pretend it has to be good because somebody else liked counterpoints. He did all the work. It's all okay to do. But Rebeccah doesn't seem to understand that a few things are similar and it's okay to have similar things, as she demonstrates here. In fact, her line that she repeats in this video, if somebody lied, they lie 1,000 times, is kind of indicative of that. She still thinks she didn't lie the many times she misrepresented something. She still thinks she didn't lie when she said two things that do not agree with each other in the very same video. And you might think I mean the 3-hour video. No, in this one. In this one, she's showing herself saying my editing is better, and then she puts it written down, my editing sucks. One of those cannot be your position because it counters the other. And are you not lying? Are you not in some way saying something that cannot be true? Now, outside of Rebeccah's very rigid limits, this is kind of understandable. If you're trying to get a grasp of the idea, I would have to say that's not something that you do in a video. It is something you're supposed to figure out by yourself in your head, or have a conversation or two about it until you feel you got a better grasp on them, and then you can try to make a video. But let me talk about a couple of things that she did say that are improvements. She does say that her editing sucks. I don't want to say this is literal, of course. I don't even find that most of her editing is much of a problem, but I do think that her lack of understanding of her position is an issue. I'm pointing at this as a positive because I think she's starting to understand that maybe herself saying she is correct all the time is not a great thing. She said says that she needs to do better. Again, this is not something that you have to figure out only after you get some bad responses. No, you should have learned this a long time ago. But again, it is a positive that she is trying to embrace this. I still don't know how you're trying to embrace this only now. If you actually talked about this in your second video, after Mr. Enter's video, one genuine, unclassified positive is that she starts saying things as in, I have to deal with that. In other words, certain things that she disagrees with, but she is not thinking that other people are wrong because she disagrees. That's improvement. I don't think she even said that in her second video. Another thing that she said, kinda jokingly I wanna say, but it's kinda more true than you might think, a 10-year-old is more mature than her. And a 10-year-old with a parent telling them you have to do better kinda pays attention to it. Kinda understands that it's not going to work. I am not all powerful. I cannot just do whatever I feel is the best possible thing and let things fall where they might. No, you have to actually look at what you're doing, mature, and do better. A personal example is, I'm a writer. I wrote a couple of books long time ago, and I did what I could with the very little money that I had to get a few reviews made. When I got a bad review once, I made criticisms to the method, to the things being said. I can easily say to you right now, yeah, some of those things are still technically correct. But no, I shouldn't have done that. You better believe that I should not have said anything negative about the critic. That's why I also understand Rebeccah's position a little better. I understand the possibility of losing a lot because somebody said something negative about you, but it is a fact that people can say what they want, especially in such a situation where you put your stuff publicly, or in my situation where I sent the book to ask them to review it. And again, technically speaking, some of those things I criticized them for are still true. It was not my place to make those statements. And finally, she says that she won't forgive John, but it's okay for you to do so. That is a topic that is becoming more and more frequent because more and more we see that people who make videos, people who make art, are not always great people. And it is something that has to be let to be decided by each person. I say that because, for instance, the maker of Samurai X is a horrible person as far as we can tell. He was caught with kitty paw. So I tried not to like Samurai X, but I do. I really do. I like the whole thing. Does that mean that I want money to go there? No. And if I can do anything so that this person does not make money legally, or there's a cap, he can make money, but only if he is using it for the minimum to stay alive and everything else is sent to the victims, I would do that. I would do that now. But this very clear, direct, simple, it's this or that. Either you don't support this or you do, is a false equivalency. When it comes to that, it has to be a personal choice, and it cannot be this thing where, oh, I like Harry Potter, that means I'm a transphobe. No, because in fact, quite a few things go into this. And I know that you heard all the arguments. I'm not here to make new arguments. I'm not here to let you do this or that anyways. As I said, it's a personal choice. But I am here to point out one thing that we do quite a lot in this situation. This is a paradox. Paradoxes don't exist in nature, they exist in interpretation. In other words, when you see two sides having merit, as in one person wants to play the game because the studio has nothing to do with the transphobia, everybody else involved has nothing to do with the transphobia, the money that goes to J.K. Rowling's is minimal, etc., etc., and the other person doesn't want to play the game, doesn't want the game to be successful because sending money to J.K. Rowling is a bad thing. If you see merit in both sides, the question is wrong. That's how you handle a paradox. Change the question. The issue really is, should we allow this person to make money? And this is not on the game. This is not even on the Harry Potter franchise. This is on the very, very clear fact that she has made statements that are transphobic and the law is not making her pay for it. That's what you need to focus on. Change the law so she has to pay. Change the law so everything that she said from this point on, I don't believe in retroactively doing those things, but from this point on, she has to think about who she is affecting, and she has to really pay attention if she's saying something okay or not. Because if you do that, everybody who is still here might actually see her having to pay. And I know this is kind of outside the topic, but yes, that's how you start with this. I still suggest you take a look at my other video where I talked about the humongous 3-hour video that she made. And if I can take advantage of this, I do suggest that you check out my channel. I do reviews. And finally, my conclusion about Rebeccah. I have very little hope. As a teacher, I really want to believe that people would like to change, would like to be better. And if this was her first apology, I might have given her the benefit of the doubt. In fact, I did. When she released her first apology, I was already very much ready to discuss the topic. But she apologized and I thought, yeah, there's no need anymore. It seems that it solved itself. Mind you, I saw the problems with that apology video, but I thought, yeah, if she got it, that's more important than anything else. That was before the 3-hour marathon of bollocks. So yeah, the reason why this video is called Yesterday's Tomorrow is because we've been here. Rebeccah would like you to think that she is trying to be a better person. And if this was the first time, I would have given her the benefit of the doubt. Actually, to all effects, yeah, I am giving her the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to make yet another video or make some kind of video talking about how good or bad she is because I just want her to improve, like I want everybody to improve. But I'm sorry to say, in my gut, I don't see that happening. It is very unfortunate to say, but what she said in this new video sounded very hollow. And I would have to even say, kinda sounded like she's just trying to convince people again. Now trying to play nice to convince you that she's a good person, just like before she was trying to convince you she's a strong person. Either way, trying to get people to like her. I don't see Rebeccah changing. I hope I'm wrong, but I have to be honest, I really don't think she would.